The question is critically examine whether growing population is the cause of poverty, uh, or poverty is the main cause of population growth in India. So this is the main question we have asked. They have asked, and the full marks is 10. So in the solution segment, you know that the relationship between the population growth and poverty in India is complex and multifaceted. So while it is true that poverty and population growth are interrelated, it is difficult to determine which is the primary cause and which is the effect. So poverty and population are um, are interrelated. So, but it is difficult that who is dominating who, which one is dominating the other one. So, on one hand, poverty can contribute to population growth in several ways. For example, poor families may have more children in order to have more earners in the household, or to ensure that they will have support in old age. So, poverty can also lead to limited access to education and healthcare, which in turn can lead a higher birth rates and infant mortality rates. Okay, so poverty can contribute to population growth. Right, poverty can contribute to population growth obviously, and the poor family. Just take an example like in the poor families. So I'm giving a column here. Mm, example: limited education and healthcare, which will in turn increase the population growth, right? But on the other hand, population growth can also contribute to poverty in several ways. So, how? Yeah, because population is not one dimensional. Just example, rapid population growth can put pressure on the resource and infrastructure, leading to increased competition for jobs and services. It can also lead to overcrowding and environmental degradation, which can which can increase the poverty, right? So on the other hand, population growth can also contribute to poverty. In which just take an example, we will mention one example only, that rapid population growth can put pressure on resource and environment. So rapid population growth can put pressure on resource and environment. Okay. So it is important to note that the relationship between poverty and population growth is not one dimensional. There are many other factors that contribute to poverty and population growth, such as economic policies, social norms, cultural and political institutions. So poverty and population is not one dimensional concept. Economic, social, and political factors can influence it, obviously. So, in order to address poverty and population growth in India, a multifaceted approach is needed. So, this could include policies that address poverty directly, such as providing access to education, healthcare, and employment opportunities, as well as policies that address population growth, such as family planning programs and investment in infrastructure and resource management. So, on the one hand, healthcare, education, and on the other hand, population growth control, family planning. This type of various policies should be taken by government to control the entire system. So overall, it is difficult to determine whether poverty or population growth is the primary cause uh, of the other in India. Both poverty and population growth are complex issues that requires a comprehensive approach in order to address them effectively. Okay, so this is the entire solution of this 13 part of the question, part A of this question. Now we will solve the B part of the question. In the second part, they have asked that analyze the trend in consumption inequality in India since the early 1990s. The last question, the 13A part, was of 10 marks question, and this is another question of 10 marks, which will, yeah, it's also 10 marks question. So analyze the trend in consumption. If we write the question, 13B question is analyze the trend in consumption inequality in India since the early 1990s. Okay, so consumption inequality in India. So consumption inequality in India has been a subject of much debate and analysis over the past few decades. While there have been some improvements in reducing poverty and inequality in the country, the trend in consumption inequality since the early 1990s has been mixed. So one commonly used measure of consumption inequality is the Gini coefficient. So Gini coefficient is the measure of consumption inequality. Okay. So according to the data from National Sample Survey Organization, that's NSSO, the Gini coefficient for consumption expenditure in rural India increased by 0.28 in 1994 to 0.33 in 2011. So as per the NSSO data, the Gini coefficient 0.28 in 1993-94 to 0.33 in 2011-12. Okay, this is the change in inequality or change in what should I say, that the coefficient for consumption expenditure. Okay, so the Gini coefficient for consumption expenditure increased by 0.35% in 1993-94 to 0.39 in 2011-12. This is the data of rural, and on the other side, in the urban data is 0.35 in 1993-94 to 0.39 in 2011-12. So there, the trend suggests that consumption inequality has increased in both the rural and urban over the past few decades. Therefore, consumption inequality has increased. Okay. So, however, it is important to note that there have been some improvement in reducing poverty and inequality in India over the same period. Okay. So now we will focus on some improvement. Okay. Uh, According to the data from the World Bank, the poverty rate in India uh, measured as the percentage of population living below the international poverty line, that is $1.90. So as per the World Bank data, okay, it has the poverty rate decreased from poverty rate decreased from 45.3% in 1993 to 13.4% in 2015. So it is a significant improvement. So additionally, the Gini coefficient for households income in India has decreased from 0.39 in 93-94 to in 1992 to 0.35 in 2011-12, indicating some improvement in income inequality also. And there is some, and the trade suggesting that the improvement in income inequality. So these are some positive trends or positive approach. So there are several factors that may have contributed the trend in consumption inequality in India since the early 1990s. So there are some various factors which is contributing this, or which is increasing or increasing this inequality. So one factor is the rapid economic growth and globalization. So one responsible factor is rapid economic growth and globalization. Okay. So which may have contributed to income inequality as some groups benefited more than the others. Additionally, there have been changes in the composition of consumption expenditure over time, with spending on non-food items increasing, which may have contributed to the inequality in consumption pattern. So the changing pattern of consumption is another key responsible factor. Okay, so overall, while there have been some improvements in reducing poverty and income inequality in India, the trend in consumption inequality since 1990s has been mixed. So it will be important for policymakers to continue address these issues in order to provide inclusive growth and reduce the inequality in the country. So this is a very important question, and you should use this data set to answer this question efficiently. Thank you.